again, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. If you came from the podcast, welcome back, and I'm happy to take you through this presentation on results-oriented social media execution. And I talk about results-oriented social media execution because I've noticed that in the past, when I would have done, whether it's my training or my consulting, I've worked with clients and they're left to execute on their own, that sometimes in many instances, nothing really happens. So I've now taken a different approach where I am looking at social media from one, a results-oriented standpoint, and two, I am focusing on execution, not just building out the strategy, not just building the campaign, but actually doing whatever needs to be done, getting the work done to ensure that you're having success with your social media efforts. So one of the first things that we need to do, and we spoke about that a little bit on the podcast, is to do an overview of the business, looking at one, your objective. What are the objectives of the business? And those objectives or your goals need to be SMART, all right? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. And so whatever your objectives are, that needs to map towards the execution of the social media. Your social media efforts needs to support your business objectives. Because if that's not happening, what you're going to find is you're going to start saying, well, social media is not working, it's not good. And that's because you're not seeing any result in your bottom line. I look at the business model to see whether or not how they are doing business, whether it's a online business, whether they're subscription based, whether they're paying for someone's time, like a personal brand, like in my case. Look at like how do you do business, and because that will help with the social media execution. And I also like to look at a SWOT analysis, right? Look at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that exists within the business. Leadership alignment. Now, this is very important because one of the biggest problems that happens in the social media world and with social media execution is there is a disconnect between the leadership of the organization, of the business, and the people who are executing social media. So what we find happening in many instances is you might have a CEO or a managing director or a general manager who may not be so much interested in social media. They know, well, it's just something that has to be done. People just need to be on there because that's where everyone is at, but they're not vested in it. So because they're not vested in it, they're not aligned with it, they're not given the resources and the support that's needed. So then you have somebody now, a social media manager, out there executing, and whatever they're executing is not in line with what the business manager or the business leader wants. So there's that huge disconnect. So there must be some kind of alignment. And of course, you want to look at your KPIs because you need to be measuring your efforts. You need to know whether or not what metrics can you use to show that your social media efforts is leading to support your business objective and helping you achieve that. Once you take a look at your social media, once you take a look at your business overview, then you want to conduct a complete social media audit. So you do an audit of your social media channels. Now, and you look at your owned channels, so the platform that you own. So for example, your organization's Facebook page, your Twitter account, your Instagram, your YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, whatever it is, you do a complete audit of that to see what's happening, what content are being posted, how often you're posting, are you running any ads on there? So do a complete audit of that, but you also want to look at any non-owned channels that's created in your image, right? So what I mean by that is, let's say ACBN, for example, ACBN Canada, somebody might go and create their own ACBN_Canada account, right? So you want to take a look at that to see, well, what's being posted on that channel, or I mean that mainly happens for like a lot of the big brands, especially destinations like Grenada, for example. Somebody might create a channel that tend to promote the destination in a sense, or even some of the celebrities, they have a lot of fan accounts that are created. So you want to take a look at those, because people might be, there might be an instance where somebody might get confused and think that that particular platform is yours and represents your brand, and maybe what the content that's being posted there is not in alignment with who you are and what you're doing. You want to conduct take an audit looking at your people as well. One, who's on your social media team, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the type of the different type of people that you need on your team. But you definitely want to look at who's on the social media team, what's their role, what they're doing, who have access to what account, you know, who are the admins. And I've worked with clients in the past where a past employee still has admin access to like a Facebook page, for example. Right, you definitely want to audit the policies. Take a look at, do you have policies as it relates to how your employees are to use social media? Do you have a policy detailing who is authorized to post on behalf of the brand? Right, so look at, are there any policies that exist that we need to look at? The different processes, you know, like, do we have a process for creating content? Do we have a process for, you know, doing our paid media? You know, how do we work in that sense? Audit all the creatives, looking at the type of content that we put out. So the type of images, type of videos, the different type of creative work that happens. Do a full look at all the online assets. So websites, and maybe you might be doing some banner ads on or whatever, any kind of online asset that exists. You know, maybe your Google Analytics account, any online asset that exists, you need to conduct a full audit of that to see what's happening with it. And then you want to look at the social media landscape on a whole, because what you find happening is social media changes on a daily basis. So it's not just you know, whatever strategy has been implemented last week, that's going to be the same thing for this week or next week. It might be different. So definitely audit the social media landscape. What changes are happening with Facebook? What changes are happening with Instagram? What changes are happening with YouTube? And also you want to audit your engagement. And I spoke about that on the podcast as well, where I said, you know, sometimes you might see somebody with a huge following, but they have little to no engagement. And that will tell you, well, there's a disconnect there maybe between the audience and the content being out, or maybe that business is targeting the wrong set of people. You want to analyze your brand as well on social media. Now, one of the things I mentioned on the podcast is, before you even start executing on social media, you need to have two things you need to have. You need to have your branding and all your branding collateral set up. So understand what is your brand story. What are your brand colors? Do you have a logo? Any fonts you want to use? Any tagline? And also you want to have a content strategy in place. So I'll talk a little bit more about brands, but you know, definitely, I'm looking at your brand story. You know, looking at who are you? What are you about? Like, what do you do? What do you offer? How do you go about solving a problem for the customers? And it's important to know that when you're creating your brand story, your customers are the heroes, right? Because who you're serving is the customers. In many instances, especially when people start thinking about, you know, their business and their customers, they start looking at themselves as the hero. But your customer is the hero in the story here, and you have to come in as the guide now to help them solve a problem. So some of the important elements where branding is concerned is, you know, your username. And if you are multiple social media platforms, then you need to have the same username on all platforms in order to maintain brand consistency and in order for easy identification. People should be able to identify you, whether they're on Instagram, whether they're on Facebook, whether they're on LinkedIn, whether they're on Pinterest, TikTok, Snapchat, wherever somebody is, they should be able to identify your business. Your avatar, so your profile image, again, needs to be consistent across all social media platforms. Same thing with your cover image. Obviously, there might be image size requirements that will be different, but they need to be just about the same thing. The bio, you want to look at your bio text. This is another important element of your branding. any URLs that you have there, and you may want to use like UTM tags and so for tracking. That's if you want to get really technical with it. And then any call to actions. Have a call to action link. So get started with, and you put the link there, or you want somebody to send you a message or give you a call or whatever it is. But these are some of the important elements of your brand. So again, like I said, you need to have consistent branding across all the social media channels. People need to be able to identify you no matter which channel they're on. The next piece will be to design your content strategy. And looking at, we're talking a little bit more in detail about some of this here, but again, looking at the people, who do you need on your content team? Maybe you might say, I need a photographer, I need a videographer, I need a graphic designer, or maybe one person can do all of those things. You want to look at the tools that you might need. You might say, well, as part of our content strategy, to create content, we may need to get a tool like Premiere Pro. Or you may say, well, we need to get a GoPro camera, or we need to get a DSLR or something like that. So whatever tools, understanding what are the different tools that you need when you're going to be designing your content strategy. Look at the process for designing your content. What process do you have to go through? Is it a case whereby you will take content ideas from your frontline workers and send it back to your content team, and they will create content along that line? Is it a case whereby everybody come together and start brainstorming content based on the feedback that you're getting from your clients? So understand what your process is for creating content and document that. A content calendar is very important. Content calendar is crucial, especially to help you with your social media execution, because it will tell you what to post or when to post on which platforms. And then your delivery. How often will you be posting? Looking at what platforms you want to be posting on, and like what times do you need to be posting. So how do you, and then what formats are you going to be delivering your content in? So are you going to be using videos? Are you going to be using graphics, creative graphics? Are you going to be using images that you take for yourself? Are you going to be delivering using blogs or podcasts, whatever it is? So these are all very important when creating your content strategy. This is something I spoke about in the podcast, on the podcast as well. All your content that you post should either educate and inform, it should either motivate and inspire, or it should entertain. So before you're creating a post, you should ask yourself, does the post that I'm creating do at least one of those things above? And just a quick tip for everybody is memes, quotes, and tips works really well for all brands across Instagram. I mean, that's a random tip here, but other content posted should do one of those three things that we mentioned. On Facebook, you want to use Facebook to bring awareness to you and your brand, and pretty much the customer's problem and the solution to those problems. So you want to use Facebook to create that awareness. And your Facebook marketing system, definitely you want to create posts that inspires, entertain, and informs. Like I said, you can share blog content on there. Boost your content to reach a wider audience. Now, this is very important, because what we find happening today is while organic reach is not dead, organic reach is really low, it's down. And social media is very noisy, especially on Facebook. We have thousands of pieces of content that are being posted on a daily basis. So then how do we guarantee that our content stand out above the noise and gets seen by the audience that we want to see it? Well, unfortunately, we will have to put some paid media behind it and boost our content to reach the audience we want to reach. And then you want to retarget people with invitation using Facebook retargeting ads, right? If you want to get some more information about Facebook retargeting ads, just do a quick Google search, and you can get some more information about that. But this is very important. These are just some engaging content that you find on Facebook. So videos, which is pretty much the most valuable type of content on Facebook. You can look at humor providing value. Now, that doesn't mean that if your brand is not a brand that augurs well with humor and so that you will force to go and do it. That doesn't have to be the case, right? However, if you have a brand that you can find a way to use humor then great. But you definitely want to provide value. That's very important. You have to be providing value to your clients, to your audience at all time. You can link shares, so you can share links on there. So your own content or curated content. Curated content is that content that someone else would have posted. So for example, let's say you see a blog post on entrepreneur.com that you think would benefit your clients, your audience. Then you can share it on your page. Graphics, so tips, how to, quotes, memes, stories. You can show behind the scenes, show the company culture. You can go live, share breaking news, show products and announcements. And live is something that I would definitely encourage people to consider, simply because when you go live, Facebook notifies your audience that X person just went live. When you post a regular video, that's not the case. You can do a photo carousel, so you can like add links to build a carousel, or you can do slideshows. You know, turn your images into a video. These are just, you know, you can create dynamic images, animated shot, animated quotes, and short videos, and you can use an app like canva.com. For those of you who are not aware, it's free. Well, I mean, there is like a premium version which I use, like the Canva Pro. But you know, you can go use Canva to create some of those nice animated quotes, short graphics, and so. Or you can use an app like WordSwag from your App Store, your Play Store. So let's talk about just Facebook retargeting. Now, this is something that is crucial, right? So what I normally recommend is you boost your best organic post to maximize reach and engagement. Now, here's why you do that. When you post something on Facebook, in many cases, what we find happening is people they get a lot of engagement organically on a particular post, and they get no engagement on another post. So what you find happening, what they will do is they will say, well, we had some good engagement on this post. We had nothing on this post. So let's boost the post that we had nothing on so we can get people to see it. And that's a mistake, because you want to actually post the post that people are in fact engaging with, because what they're saying to you is, this is what we are interested in. If they're not engaging with content B, but they're engaging with content A, then you want to boost and promote content A, not content B, because it doesn't matter how much money you spend. If they do not want to see it, they just will not engage with them, and you'll be wasting money. And then once you do that, once you boost your best organic post to maximize reach and engagement, then you can retarget your engaged audience with related content. So you can say to Facebook, hey Facebook, I want to send out this video to everybody who would have engaged with this previous piece of content. So from a social content planning standpoint, schedule ongoing reshares of your best performing posts, especially if it's evergreen. If you have an evergreen post that's doing really well, then I will encourage you to schedule ongoing reshares of that post. Some of the leading people in the social media space, some of the best marketers on social media do this. So I would definitely encourage you to do that. And this is just like a sample weekly calendar. So you definitely want to set up a content calendar, so you can know exactly what you're going to post, when you're going to post it, what day you're going to post it on. So this is just kind of like a sample calendar on there. What I want to let you know is, and I spoke about that on the podcast as well, is Facebook Creator Studio now allows you to schedule content on Facebook and on Instagram. And I'm pretty sure I read sometime this week or last week that it now allows you to schedule your Instagram stories as well. So you don't have to use a third-party tool like Hootsuite or so if you do not want to, although I still do use them because I like to get analytics and I like to use them for listening and monitoring. But you can schedule your content using the Facebook Creator Studio. So again, the Facebook marketing system, create posts that inspires, entertain, and inform, share your blog content, boost your content to reach an audience, retarget people with your invitation or your offers, and you can create evergreen content, right? Evergreen content is content that will be relevant at any point, at any time, whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, the next 2 weeks, the next 3 months, the next year, that content will still be relevant. So that's what evergreen content is. So you can always keep sharing that content as long as people are finding value from it. On Instagram, again, all posts should either entertain, educate, inspire, or motivate, and you want to have a call to action. And this is important, especially on Instagram, because some of you may notice that you cannot add a link to your Instagram caption. The only place you can add a link on Instagram as of right now is in your Instagram bio. And if you have over 10,000 followers, then you can add a link in your stories. So you do want to have a call to action, especially if you have something like a link or something that you want people to check, and it's in your bio saying, hey, please click on the link in my bio for more information, or please send me a DM for more information, or type yes if you want to receive some more information about X from me, right? So it's important to have a call to action on Instagram. And some of the Instagram content strategies, similar to Facebook, right? Photos, which shows products, events, company culture, some of the graphics, carousels. We pretty much just went through some of these. The only difference being IGTV, Instagram TV, which is where you get to add content that goes from 60 seconds to 60 minutes. I have 600 minutes there, but actually 60 minutes, right? And there you get to teach, educate, and pretty much give advice and update on different industry trends and so on. So it's very important to write good captions on Instagram. So be descriptive, be entertaining, educational, informative, or valuable. You don't want to post it too short, but at the same time, you don't want it to be like extremely long. The first sentence needs to be very powerful. So once someone starts reading, you pull them in, and I think that's something that people normally see a lot. If you're watching a video, the first 2 seconds need to be compelling enough to pull somebody in. Same thing when you're writing an Instagram caption. You want to add a call to action in the caption. That's something that I just mentioned. A while ago. Now, if you want to do like an Instagram a carousel, you may have noticed that Instagram actually allows us to put like up to 10 images in one post. Right, so you can literally get your audience learning to learn more, or curious to learn more. Know that you can have like all these different images, so you can do like 5 quick tips or 10 quick tips and have like 10 different images scrolling across in one Instagram post. All right. Again, like I said, invite engagement, call to action. Like, comment, send me a DM, because again, like I said, you cannot put a link in your Instagram caption. Use the PS strategy. So when you say PS, this is the person I was telling you about, or something like that. So you can say something like PS, click on the link in the bio to get more information, or something like that. I guess some of the shareable content on Instagram, carousels, single posts, or short audiograms, or Instagram TV, IGTV. Right, and again, one of the call to actions could be DM me if you need help, or share if this resonated with you. Hashtags is one of the things I get a lot of questions about the most. Well, not the most, but I get a lot of questions about hashtags. And let me just say here that hashtags on Facebook have no inherent value per se, unless it's for branding. Right? So in general, hashtags are for discoverability. It's for people to find your content when you post them. On Facebook, it doesn't have that same discoverable impact or factor like it will have on Instagram and on YouTube. Sorry, on Instagram and on Twitter. Right? On Facebook, it's more for branding, so you don't necessarily have to use hashtags there per se. So you want to combine the following relevant hashtags: 4 to 5 like popular hashtags, the ones that there are up to 1 million posts using those hashtags. You want to use 5 to 6 moderately popular hashtags, You know, a couple have a couple 100,000, and then 2 to 5 niche specific hashtags. So, for example, in my case, my niche is, you know, the social media industry and personal branding, and so I want to have some niche specific hashtags, and then 1 to 5 like branded hashtags. Branded hashtags that really has to do with your brand and who you are and what you're about, and what your organization is all about. And you want to have like 10 to 20 hashtags per post on Instagram. You're allowed to have up to 30 hashtags. You can post the hashtags in the first comment. It has the same effect as if you were to post it in the caption. When you post it in the comment, it makes it look a little bit more clean, the caption. So I will encourage you to post it there. But again, if you want to post it in the caption, so it's all up to you. And you want to use, like I said, like maybe 10 to 20 hashtags. You can go all the way up to 30. Use your own custom branded hashtags. Use themed hashtags and use hashtags, well, content related hashtags, right? And then you want to use industry related hashtags. So whatever the content you're putting out, you want to use hashtags related to that piece of content, and also content related to the industry that you're in. Instagram stories, everyone should be using Instagram. Well, if you're on Instagram or using Instagram for business, then you should be using Instagram stories, because Facebook released they released something about, it was something last year. I can't remember exactly what month, but it was, I don't know if like a manifesto for the next 2 years or whatever it was, and what they said was they were going to be focusing a lot on stories. And if you notice, you will see that there are stories everywhere. Everywhere that Facebook owns, from WhatsApp in the form of status to Instagram stories to Facebook stories, and so so Facebook is really pushing that whole ephemeral content that lasts like for 24 hours. So we definitely should be using Instagram stories, and some of the Instagram stories you can create are like, you can share content pieces, you can share product features, you can do some quick tips or how-tos, do a poll, you can ask questions, do quizzes, you can go live on Instagram, or you can share maybe some kind of pre-recorded video. So, you know, if the video is too long, you may have to cut it up into like 15-second intervals or so. But definitely, you can do some pre-recorded videos there. And like I said, initially, you can schedule all your Instagram and Facebook contents using the Facebook Creator Studio, because Facebook owns Instagram, Facebook owns WhatsApp. So that's what you're seeing, a lot of the same story effect on these different platforms. Again, IGTV, like I mentioned before, allows you to, you know, on Instagram, you can only upload a video that's up to 60 seconds in length. If your video is longer than 60 seconds, in the past you couldn't load it on Instagram, but Instagram has released Instagram TV, IGTV, that allows you to upload videos that are longer than 60 seconds, up to 1 hour, 60 minutes or so on there. So if you have a video that you want that's maybe 10 minutes long and you want to put it on Instagram, you can definitely use IGTV, and there's going to be a link, a preview link that's going to appear, and that video will appear in your newsfeed as normal. Well, let's talk about LinkedIn. You want to share content that actually starts conversations, right? So that's the kind of content. Now, LinkedIn's organic reach is really good right now. So if you're a personal brand, or you somebody who wants to build your personal profile as a professional, I will encourage you to get on LinkedIn. Like I said, the organic reach is really great. Some experts says that the organic reach on LinkedIn now is where Facebook's organic reach was a couple years ago, right? So definitely, LinkedIn is crucial right now. One of my pet peeves on LinkedIn is people just messaging me out of the blue to do business, or to like, you want to have a meeting or sit down, and just random people who I don't know, and it's just send me a message making this big ask. Before you message someone on LinkedIn, you know, ask yourself these questions. Have you researched the company? You know, have you checked them out on other social media channels or other social media platforms? You know, what are the company themes? Like, what is the company all about? What is their personal and professional themes? What product or services make achieving those things possible? So it's pretty much getting to know somebody and ensuring that is someone that you do want to connect with, and maybe offering them something of value, before you message them and trying to get them to either do business with you or something like that. It's something that it's a bit annoying for me when people do that. I will encourage you to use your personal profile as your primary on LinkedIn. And because right now, what we find happening is personal profiles are actually getting better traction on LinkedIn than a company's page, for example. So I always encourage organizations to either, for example, if you're an entrepreneur or you're running your business, that you as the entrepreneur set up your LinkedIn profile to be the face of your business. Or if you're a corporation or some kind of organization that have directors, and so I will encourage the directors of those businesses to set up their LinkedIn profile and actually publish content on LinkedIn on behalf of the business or the brand. So you can, like I said, use your personal profile as a primary, publish videos, status updates. You can actually use content that you repurpose from other channels, so there's nothing wrong with that, but just don't go on there with like the memes and the jokes and so, because it's a professional platform. You can publish articles natively. So just like you can write a blog if you have your own website, or if you go on something like medium.com and you can post a blog, you can actually publish native articles on LinkedIn, like how you would on a blog. So if you write an article and you have no way to publish it, just publish it natively on LinkedIn. LinkedIn purchase SlideShare, so which means that you can now integrate slides as one of your content, and the slides will actually show up as a normal presentation on LinkedIn. Now there are groups, so you can engage in groups, and you can create your own group. So this is what the LinkedIn publishing platform look like, right? So you go on there, it will ask you to put your cover, write your headline, then write your post. So, and then you'll get a publish. So I do encourage if you do any kind of blogging that you look at the LinkedIn publishing platform. So this is just a SlideShare presentation. I think I took a snapshot of this, I think from Digital Marketer, where they would have published that on LinkedIn, right? So you can set up a SlideShare account, upload your slides on there, and and then share that on LinkedIn, and people can actually go through the presentation. Twitter is not necessarily the best for awareness because it's so noisy, but it's really great for monitoring and listening, right? And let me just go back a little bit and talk about monitoring and listening just a quick second. Listening aims to centralize conversations that are happening about your brand, so you can engage and interact in those conversations. And monitoring looks at conversations that are happening not necessarily about you, but about your industry and anything that's related to your industry, to your business, to your brand, and what you do. So you can either maybe join the conversations and look for different advantages where somebody might say, oh well, you know, I'm looking for somebody to help me with my social media strategy, and because I'm monitoring conversations that's happening about around social media and small businesses, and so I can jump in and say, hey, you know, I'm Kimron, and you know, I'm a results-oriented social media strategist, and you know, I can help you plan and execute your social media strategy or your social media campaign, right, successfully. So I might jump in there because I'm monitoring and getting, and maybe I can sign a new client out of that. So that's very important. So I mean, your market is on Twitter. Like, I mean, they're there. You know, you have like Twitter chats that I would encourage people to join. If there's like a Twitter chat happening in your industry or about your industry, you can definitely check it out. I know Twitter chats were like very popular. I haven't seen a lot happening lately, but it's still something that happened. You want to again engage in hashtags, and let me just make a disclaimer here. You don't have to hashtag every single word that you type, and you don't have to use like a whole bunch of hashtags on Twitter. So for example, if you want to post something like, I'm going to the beach, hashtag I, hashtag am, hashtag going, hashtag to, hashtag the, hashtag beach, like that's very annoying. And it's yeah, don't do that. All right, you distribute your blog content on hashtags as well, and you can share like quotes and sound bites on there, on Twitter, that is, sorry. So yeah, definitely Twitter is something that you want to focus on as well. some of the engaging content on Twitter, utility content. So you can tweet out useful or helpful content that teaches your audience how to do something or how to solve a problem. I'm not sure how many of you would have seen, but there's this YouTube channel, Dad, it's called Dad, How Do I, or something like that, that went from like 0 to 2 million followers in like 2 months or something like that. And pretty much all they were doing is like focusing on like utility content, like showing how to mount a shelf and how to do this and how to do that, you know. So on Twitter, you can definitely gain traction by focusing on utility content as well. Again, entertaining content like memes, you know, it encourages us to share, and it pretty much makes us feel good, you know, to be part of like a positive experience. So definitely entertainment and inspiration. People want to share what piques their curiosity and what inspires them. And I spoke about that before. You know, I mentioned that your content should inspire and motivate. It should inform and educate, and it should entertain. So you're actually seeing like a theme throughout as we're talking about content, right? Metrics and measurement. This is very important because we do have to look at our social media metrics. And how do we measure our efforts on social media? If we're not doing that, then we could be missing a huge opportunity, because there may be a case whereby whatever we're doing, whatever we're posting is not working. But if we're not measuring our efforts, then we would not know. Right, so some of the KPIs you want to look at is, you know, growth. You want to look at the size of your audience, whether your audience is growing over time. You want to look at reach. Reach is, you know, how many unique viewers are actually seeing your content when you post it. Impressions. Impressions is pretty much how many times your content shows up in somebody's newsfeed. So you mean if you're seeing that, you know, you have an impression, your impression is saying 500 or 10,000 or something like that. That just shows how much time that content showed up in somebody's newsfeed. It doesn't mean that person engaged. That person may not have engaged. They may not have even clicked on anything, right? It just showed up in a newsfeed. And like your content could show up in my newsfeed 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, and I do nothing with it. But you will see that you had 10 impressions because of that. So if you're having high impression and low engagement, you know something is wrong with the content. You want to look at engagement. So how many people are engaged? You look at percentage of engaged users and engagement rate that you have on your content. Especially if you have a large following, you want to ensure that your engagement rate is relative to what you're seeing. Traffic, you know, clicks from social media to your blog, social media to your website, to your landing pages. I will encourage everybody to have their own website, because remember, social media is rented property. Facebook can shut down your profile, your page. Instagram can shut you down. Twitter, YouTube, they can all shut you down at any time, and there is nothing you can do about it. But if you have your own website, then Facebook can say, well, I'm going to shut down that person's website, right? And then, well, you know, you want to look at leads and sales if you're selling something, or if you're trying to get volunteered, if you're a nonprofit, right? How much did you get last week? How much sales did you sell? How many clicks did you sell? How many books did you sell? How many consulting sessions did I book, right? So then one of the things I spoke about initially was, remember I talked about the audit. You want to go ahead and then build out your full strategy based on the results of the audit, right? So default, you want to ensure that you're linking your social media goals to the organization priorities, and that's one of the things I spoke about already. You want to look at your audience persona. We spoke about that on the podcast, and like I said, that's kind of one of those cliche things in business strategy, but it's so important, and it's true. It stands true no matter what. You have to understand who your audience is. Understand your audience persona, because that's the only way that you'll be able to provide value to them, if you know who they are and what they want, and know exactly what problem you're solving for them. Your channel strategy. Once you know who your audience is, then you need to know where they are online. You do not need to be on every social media platform, but you do need to be on the platforms where your audience is. How do they want to be communicated with? So based on the platform they are on, that will give you a bit of an indication, but maybe people might say, well, we prefer videos, or we prefer blog posts, or we prefer images, or we prefer long written content. It depends. right? Then you want to look at your social media content plan. That's pretty much what we just went through a few minutes ago. Community management. This is very important because these are the people. The community management function looks at the day-to-day handling of your social media. So the people who are going to be monitoring your social media, listening, posting content, responding to questions and queries that might come in your inbox, responding to comments that people might post on there. So this is your community management functions. The community management people might be also responsible for running ads for you, or you may decide you want to get an ad specialist to do that. Campaign development. So if you have any specific campaign that you might consider running, you might say, well, we have a special coming up, and we want to run a social media campaign that will look at highlighting that special. So anything that you want to highlight and promote more of, and then content amplification. There's really and truly only two ways right now to amplify your content. One is by using ads, and two is using influencers, right? To help push your content and get it out there. And in line with influencers, I want to also highlight earned media. So earned media, these are like the mentions and so that you will get from other platforms. So for example, if ACBN Canada posts something about Kimron Corion on their social media or on their Facebook page or on their Instagram page and say, hey, this guy Kimron, he's good at what he does, check him out. That's a earned media opportunity because I did not have to necessarily pay them for that per se. I did not have to tell them to do it. They just went ahead and decided, you know what, they're gonna shout me out. So that's an earned. So that's ways that you can amplify your content. And when we look at execution, you want to have a couple of things in place. So one, the correct people. So you want to have a strategic planner, and that's the person that will look at the big picture objectives, the big picture strategy, and help the other members of the team to analyze and understand the strategy and how you're going to go about executing. Your community manager, like I said, will handle all the day-to-day operations of running your social media. Content creator, the person that will be, like this says, creating your content. That could be the creative person also. Ad buyer, the person that will be running all your ads on, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever you're running ads. And your analyst, somebody who will be analyzing your social media efforts to let you know whether or not it's working for you. And you want to look at your tools. What tools do you need? Do you need any kind of third-party social media management tool? Do you need any kind of content creation tool? Do you need like equipment, laptops, a DSLR camera, a GoPro for creating content? What do you need? Your operations. So what are you going to post on what are you going to do on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, or a quarterly basis, right? Having a thorough understanding of what you're going to do every day, every week, every month, every quarter will actually help with proper execution. And reports, monthly reports you do. I know someone reached out to me a couple of days ago and they were asking me, how do I know that this part of my social media is working? Because we're paying somebody to execute for us. And I'm like, well, you shouldn't be paying somebody to execute social media for you if you're not getting a monthly report on what they're doing and how your social media is growing and so. So you definitely want to have monthly reports and then evaluation periods, right? Once you start executing a particular strategy, maybe you might say every quarter, every half a year, we're going to evaluate the strategy, evaluate what we're doing to see what's working, what's not working, whether we need to pivot or whether we need to change going forward. So yeah, so that has brought us to the end of the presentation. I hope that you found some value from it. And if anybody have any questions or so, I'm happy to take a couple right now. If not, then we can end here. Thank you very much.